Ever felt like your blog could do with a bit of an SEO boost? Well, I found your answer. Link Whisper.
Imagine effortlessly adding internal links to your posts, boosting your SEO without breaking a sweat. That's the Link Whisper speciality.
Absolutely. With Link Whisper right under your article, you get tailor-made suggestions for your internal links, and the cherry on top, connect it with Google Search Console and you're off to the races.
Yep, it uses those keywords directly from Google Search Console for that perfect anchor text.
And if you're posting something new, Link Whisper is like your SEO sidekick. It scans your site, finds relevant content, and suggests where and how to link back to your latest post.
So for your orphan posts, Link Whisper's pretty handy.
Yeah, gone are the days of crawling through your site with complex tools and spreadsheets. Link Whisper finds these orphan pages and allows you to add links from your WordPress dashboard.
And let's not forget the related post widget. So this can be displayed as a bulleted list or within a blog post thumbnail. You get a specific set of articles to be related, or you can have them auto-select them for you.
You can even handpick specific articles and let the magic of automation decide. And for those orphan posts we mentioned, they're getting prioritized, ensuring every post gets the love it deserves.
So to all you bloggers looking to step up your game, give Link Whisper a whirl.
Use the code ClickWars, all one word, for $20 off. And now back to the podcast.
Right, welcome to another episode of Click Wars. It's the first time without Sammy here. It's an emotional time. Sammy will be back in the future, hiatus. He's doing his thing. He's crushing it without the gains. But this week, to introduce, well, we won't do too much. I'll let you introduce yourself. But we met about a year ago in Manchester for the first time at SEO Exclusive. I think that's how you pronounce the event. With credit to Josh from SEO for Hire and Craig for putting that on. And met a couple of times since. Ray's doing big stuff in PR and combining the sort of new age SEO along with the socials and PR side to create a more, I'd say, powerful real brands rather beyond like the typical link building aspect of digital PR. And with digital PR being the sort of the thing that I think we can all speculate will age better than most other types of link building over time, as well as the more three-dimensional brand building parts, it is more relevant than ever. And so I think Ray's got some interesting stuff to go on to that. But no, quick 30-second introduction. Introduce yourself, man.
Hey, I'm Ray. I've worked in digital for a little while and I've worked across both social and SEO, mostly just on the organic side. Haven't really touched paid marketing. Started my career in social media, working on platforms like TikTok, Instagram, growing brands, getting millions of views, going over then into the SEO side. And now I've built a consultancy where I'm trying to combine both of them into this new kind of social search era that we're in right now. So helping people to not only rank on Google, but to rank on other platforms like TikTok as well.
Yeah, it sounds like you need to link up with the Rise at 7 crew and make that happen. But
yeah, to be fair, yeah, I spoke to Carrie a few times, and yeah, she's definitely ahead of the curve compared to literally everyone in the industry on this. There's not many people, even agency side, that I've spoke to that know as much as she does in this industry. So when it comes to social search and digital PR, to be honest.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be an industry that grows a lot and becomes more well known over the next few years. So if you can make yourself like stamp your brand onto that, that'll be a very profitable thing to do over the next 3 to 5 years, if I had to guess. But we'll get into it now. And so generally what we're going to talk about is SEO, brand building across multi-channel, building brands, personal brands and all that stuff. So if we just like start off on like a general note, like if you had to take us through your strategy generally for how you'd approach the average brand for a combined social SEO PR campaign for a medium-sized company that wants to do and get the most results from that budget, what are some things that you'd focus on and how would you put that together to get the best results from there?
Yeah, sure. So I look at it like this, like if I was, because I've worked with a lot of startups and I've worked with a lot of kind of SaaS tools types of clients, and how I look at it is if you have got a fresh website, if you've got a new website, one of the main things I'd focus on now is getting a digital PR campaign as early as you can. The reason being is because yes, you get all the SEO benefit. We know that we get SEO benefit from links. We know how important links are. But outside of that, there's a lot of trust signals that you get from being in relevant publications. By having that logo on your website, it changes things for you. Like in terms of when a customer clicks on your website, they're like, this is actually a real trust signal I can look at. I can go away and go, this is something, before you've even got reviews, before you've got extra things that you might need to actually gain that trust from that customer, you've already got a logo on your website that says you're authoritative. Not only that is the referral traffic. So if you can do a campaign correctly, and I've got an example of this with a a business that's in my town that do electrical cars or electrical car leasing, and I'd never heard of that before. And at the time, I'd sold my car, and I was in a phase where I was just about to buy a new car, but I needed to rent out a car, and I was just going to go to a traditional leasing company. Their website was something that'd shown up in ads to me. I'd never really thought about it. I'd seen a few posts from them, but when they were featured in the local newspaper, that was a trust signal I needed to actually convert and use their services. And I continue to use their services to this day. And when I was speaking to the owner of that business, he said to me that after he'd got that, yeah, it did really well for their website, it did really well for their brand in general, but the amount of people that came through just because they'd seen the Guardian had featured them, and then they've gone, okay, this is actually a business that's real. So it's not just like a random app. It's not just a random website. This is something that's authoritative enough, in our area to be featured within a local newspaper, within maybe even a national newspaper. I'm going to buy from them. So I would always start with if you can, like a digital PR campaign, because off the back of that as well, that campaign goes well. Say you go and do a data-driven campaign or something that, like there was one that was done recently that I saw. There was the amount of Greggs in the UK or something, the amount of times that people visit Greggs in the UK, something like that. It was a little while ago. And the cool thing about that is you can take something like that that's already doing well on the press and take it and turn it into social content, which is something I don't really see a lot of brands do and a lot of SEOs do either. You've got this ability now, you've got this thing that's already getting a lot of traction online. It's being featured in newspapers. It's got so many people that are talking about it. Why aren't you taking this, turning it into a piece of creative content onto another platform and sharing it? And the other issues with this is sometimes people will do that and they won't actually put it into a platform in its native format. So often what I'll see is, and you've probably seen it as well, when someone does a video and someone will do a blog post and they'll take a screenshot of that blog post and they'll post it to Twitter or they'll post it to LinkedIn. And that's it. It doesn't make sense because that's not native to the platform. If I wanted to take a blog post, put that onto TikTok, I'd create a video that's native to what my audience like on that platform. And that's what people miss out on. So I think, yeah, definitely start with a digital PR campaign, build out your content strategy, build out how you're going to share that content strategy on as many organic channels as possible. Automate that process if you can, because like I say, if you're a small brand, if you're a startup, budgets are tight. So a lot of these things here, where you don't have a huge ad budget, you can just do organic platforms to actually just build your brand by scaling out this content across these platforms. But yeah, get that native language right, that native format right, because otherwise it will just look like spam.
Yeah, I saw an example of similar-ish with regards to like the social proof being the thing to buy on LinkedIn today, where someone mentioned not getting any sales for their watch store they just opened up in St Albans, and then Carrie and another person came and replied with like a breakdown of what it was. And one of the things it came down to was, in a different sort of way to like a social feature in The Guardian, but like you've got no Google reviews. And like people don't think of PR in terms of like social proof, this is legit, this is a trusted, especially for a high emotional thing. For a high ticket item like a watch, you go and buy a Swiss watch or whatever that's going to cost you a month's salary. You need to know that, or especially if it's secondhand, it's definitely been vetted. It's got the right parts. It's not a very good quality fake if you're not expert enough to be able to tell the niche things. And so for a high emotional thing, beyond the links, beyond the brand, I guess the social proof of PR campaign have been featured on a big publication in the same way as having 150 Google reviews might get you over the line is a factor. And so, yeah, that's interesting. You mentioned cutting stuff out that you've got from these data-driven or other PR campaigns and being able to use them for socials again, especially putting it natively, like using the correct format for TikTok to do best. The thing about that is, well, everyone will say listening to this is, but it means that you've got to put 5 times the budget and time behind it because you've, one, got to do all the adjustments to those platforms, and 2, you've got to do the upfront cost to research and understand the method to be able to do that in the best possible way, which is a skill acquisition in itself, and that is a learning curve. How would you reply to those people who are silently saying and vocalizing those positions?
I would say first, okay, let's work out where your customers are hanging out online first, because like I said, if you're across every platform, that's very expensive on your budget, similar to what you just said there. We can't do that. So work out where your customers, because that's something that you're going to be doing anyway. You're going to be doing your customer research, your consumer research, figure out where they hang out online that's not necessarily linked to Google. So you know, if you're in the B2B space, LinkedIn is probably a really good platform for you. If you're in that Gen Z consumer based product space, TikTok is really powerful for you. So let's focus on those platforms there that are actually really relevant for you to start with, and then spend that time to research those platforms, because yes, it's going to take time and it might cost a little bit of money, but the truth is, learning that platform inside out where there's loads of organic reach, that upfront cost will be smaller than having to pay a constant ad budget throughout that period. It'll be much more effective for you to learn how to make content in a way that your audience enjoys on a platform they already hang out on, which already has high organic reach. Because in SEO, we're organic marketers, and the thing I notice within the industry a lot of the time is we kind of forget that organic is not just limited to search, like just on Google. You want to go to these platforms where there is that opportunity that you can just go, okay, I can post something here and I can get a lot more impressions than I can on another platform. But all I have to do, the one thing that's stopping me from getting even further is just learning what my audience likes. So spend that time, learn that platform, and then focus on that. Once you've got that under your belt, it'll become natural to you. You'll find ways of automating it. You'll find ways of templating out content. You'll realize this works for my audience. Okay, maybe for the next three months, I'd say maybe 2 months, maybe a month, I can just automate this type of content out, and it will still be relevant for this quarter. Next quarter, I can review it and rechange the tactic. However, now that I've got that automated, I've got my content schedule all structured out, scheduled out, and it's going to go out, I can go and look at another platform now. And that's what's going to give you time to go into these other platforms. So take your time to learn that first platform and then go from there. It's just baby steps. Like I spoke about this on another podcast the other day, where you kind of, it's like when it comes to content creation or content scheduling or posting, a lot of times when people first get into it, it's very much like going to the gym. If you haven't really gone to the gym before, it's a lot easier to start going for a walk every day than it is to actually go and just join like a full fitness class or go and do a weight section. Start there and then work your way up into different things. Same way as you would with working out.
The thoughts that struggles I've been trying to have on a mini scale of this, not like medium-sized business level PR campaigns, but even just, for example, podcasts like this or the live streams we do in our private community, trying to chop those up for different formats in a way that is both not ridiculously expensive and difficult to delegate, because it's if we're talking technical SEO topics, for example, you need someone who understands enough level to know what's relevant and what's not, and also who can help cut that up to like the right length for a short versus like a longer clip that might be 5 minutes long, versus taking the actual transcript and making it into a well-written long form tweet or whatever else. It's been something I've been really struggling to find people who can help with the delegation, because to do that myself would take a lot of time that I don't have. Yeah. How do you, for niches or for businesses that are in a fairly technical niche and don't have entire media teams around them, delegate that to save or be able to get to that output level with the budgets that they have to work within?
Yeah, it can be difficult, and freelancers, especially in the editing space, are either very expensive and very good, or they're very unreliable and very cheap. So it's very hard to do, and I completely get it. I've worked with a lot of brands where we've had to basically come to the conclusion where you need, you say you're working with an agency, you've outsourced a lot of the strategy to an agency. However, the agency is just doing your strategy side. Now you need to actually implement it, similar to how you would on the SEO side when the SEO agency gives you recommendations. The only thing is, what I've found with a lot of brands I've worked with is it's easier for them to either hire someone in-house or literally turn it into someone's job to do that. Because if you're a brand and you really are serious about content creation, it's very, very difficult to automate it at the moment in a way that actually works, in a way that people resonate with. Because the same with this, like if you chop this up, if you and you put it out, it's going to look very similar to what everyone else is doing, because everyone else is using the same kind of automated tools, right? It's not going to stand out. What you really need is like, I don't know if you saw the video I filmed last, like when I was in Brighton. I've chopped it up into different scenes, and those are performed quite well because they're a bit different to how everyone else has done them. Like, because I've changed the text formatting. It isn't just a standard template for every single person's clips I've sent out. It's different. I've added music that's relevant to that scene. So these different things, like you said, especially in a technical niche where you really need to know it inside out, you need someone in-house that's got the time to devote to that. Because even if you hire a freelancer to edit your stuff, they're going to edit it in the way they know best, but they can't add in a certain industry reference. Like, say if you have an overlay that comes up and it's an image that's a reference to that technical thing you're talking about to make it easier to understand within the short frame that video is online, an editor who's a freelancer, who's not industry specific to your niche, is not going to know how to add that in. You actually need to go and hire someone in-house or work with someone in your team who you can allocate time to do that for you. And again, that sounds like an expensive way to do it. I know a lot of people listening will probably be trying to think of a way they can ease this in, but you've got to do it. And for yourself, if you're doing it all on your own, then you've got to allocate that time. It's like you said earlier, you were doing that sprint, right? Set a sprint where you're just going to edit content. Watch a YouTube video, watch a TikTok of how people use CapCut, how people use Premiere Pro to edit these videos. Spend some time, and eventually you'll get into the point where, like for me now, if I want to edit one of my videos, I just have a preset ready, and I can choose that preset, and I know exactly what I need to do. I use this type of font, I use this type of edit for this, and that speeds it up for me. And then it's just like every kind of 3 months or every 6 months when I want to go, oh, this has changed a little bit, people don't really like this anymore, I'm going to just adjust how I'm doing it now. So yeah,
fair. Yeah. Sammy, who is a co-host of the Click Wars, sometimes says, like, for a reel that might only be under a minute, it will take over an hour to do with like focused editing. And I think that people think that you can just cut these things up instantly and it will fly, but Sammy will do an hour's work and get 2 million views on some of these things, which sounds crazy to spend an hour on 20 seconds, but when you spend an hour on 2 million views, the ROI gets a lot better, right? And so I think that you're right in that, like, everyone wants and to be fair, we use this sometimes, but like there's the AI video, like it's called video.ai, where it just instantly cuts everything up. And it's really good for getting like okay level stuff, but if you really want to cut through the noise, it does require a more custom like focus, but you trade time, right? And no one's got any time, and so it's a tough one.
If you want people to actually stop, you need to, because otherwise everyone's just going to scroll past. You want them to stop scrolling, you need to put that effort in that first 7 seconds to make sure they do stop scrolling on that. So
yeah, it's I wish there was a way of doing it instantly. So that's standard, but the bar will keep shifting. Like, I'm sure that the AI stuff would have hit 5 years ago before AI, but just now that's the standard, that's what's available to everyone. You've just got to do what other people aren't doing in it, and so that's how it's going to keep going. How do you combine the sort of standard SEO keyword research for when you're helping a client with SEO that includes social content as well? How do you combine the typical keyword research that we're all used to in Ahrefs and all these other tools with like the social media keyword research to put a cohesive campaign together that encompasses all the platforms and distribution methods?
Yeah, so there's a few different ways that you can do this. So this is where it goes into this whole new search and social space that we're in right now. And the way that I look at this and the way that I've been doing it at the moment is I will take that kind of keyword research that I've done already, the blog content that I've already built out. Cool, okay, I've got this, I'm already ranking quite well for this. Where these pieces of content, because we're ranking well for it, or we're getting a lot of clicks, impressions, we know that it's doing well. We have the data to back that up, right? So I'll take that from there and I'll go, I need to create a keyword optimized. So if you're on TikTok, optimize it for keywords on that platform. If you're on Reddit, include these keywords on that platform. If you're on YouTube, the same thing. I will pick out the platforms where the customers for my client hang out, and then I will build relevant content for those blog posts, for the ones that perform the best. But you can also have a look on these individual platforms to see what's trending. So I like to use TikTok because I primarily work with TikTok in terms of the clients that I'm working with. So if you've got a consumer product and you've done a lot of like kind of bottom of funnel comparison content, you can easily turn that into a TikTok piece, because that's the type of search query that's relevant on TikTok. So you can go ahead and turn that piece of content from your website where you're comparing your product to a competitor's product or one of these listicle style posts that you've done, turn that into a comparison UGC style video on TikTok and then share that out. And I'll do that across every single keyword. So I'll literally make a spreadsheet, a video strategy, similar. It's literally just taking a content strategy or an SEO keyword map and combining it to a TikTok map and just putting them together. And that's what it would look like in a sheet. And then in terms of actually then posting that out, I just schedule that out and then make sure that it's going out. And then if I've got like digital PR campaigns that are running alongside that, or the client has got a PR campaign running alongside that, I will just make sure that anything that goes out on social, that it's keyword optimized where possible, and then it relates to that campaign that's going out. So it almost reinforces what that PR campaign is. Now, I don't know if you saw recently, Monzo did the TV ad. They did like a brand campaign. It was really powerful. I saw it come out, and basically what was really cool, I liked about what their brand did, was they would speak about the TV campaign, but not just share the TV campaign on their social channels. So if anyone's searching for anything related to that, and they're coming on platforms like TikTok, and they're coming to platforms like LinkedIn, and that's the type of content that's coming up for them that's related to that TV campaign, but it's not that TV campaign. It builds into that wider brand ecosystem, that wider brand posting. And then, so there's one other thing that I like to do, that I like to integrate what's happening on social into the content I put on the websites. So there's an example of this when Gen Z, millennials, Gen Z, we always make words and phrases and terminology for things that we only use on certain platforms. Like you'll see that the way that in the comment section on videos on TikTok, people might speak in a certain way. An example I always use of this is with Gymshark, who used the phrase, if you're in the fitness community, you'll heard of the phrase called pump cover, which is like an oversized t-shirt that covers your muscles when you go to the gym. That's a terminology or phrase that's mostly used by Gen Z on a platform like TikTok. Mostly just
I've never heard of that. I'm too old. I'm a millennial now. I'm getting late 20s now. I'm too old to know this lingo.
Oh, there you go. Now you know. Yeah. So I would literally take, if I was making content related to that, often what will happen is when you go on a keyword research tool, this type of content is zero search volume, right? It's not going to come up with anything because it's not often used. But you can take that information, you can actually use that phrasing in some of your articles that are more opinion based on your website and within your newsletter. And then what happens is, because your audience is really in that niche fitness community, if I was Gymshark and I added those to my website, I'd be looking at it and I'd be going, as a person who buys from them, I'll be saying, yeah, I really relate to these guys because they really understand the nuances. It feels natural to have this conversation with them, especially if you're making content that's relevant to what they're already searching on TikTok. So in terms of like searchability on TikTok, there aren't actually any keyword research tools, as we all know. I know there's a few tools that are being worked on. I don't know how accurate they are, and I've only tested like a few of these kind of niche random tools. But most of the time what you can do is you can just do old school research, how you would do on Google, without a keyword research tool, of just literally searching. There's an others also search for on TikTok. There's Creator Search Insights, which is basically like Google Trends, but for TikTok. And it just shows you exactly what's popular on the platform. So you can use that. You can understand from the comments. So that, I don't know if you've seen on TikTok where you get like that blue comment. So if you click on that comment, that you don't see nothing.
I'm old. I don't know this. You know what? I was speaking to Andrew Holland the other day, and he was like, Jamie, you need to do TikTok because like you could reach all these new people in the industry. I'm like, if I don't know anything about TikTok.
Nah, bro, you do need to jump on it, to be fair, because sometimes I see some information being posted on TikTok and I'm just there like this, especially in the SEO space, some of the stuff that gets posted on there, I get a bit concerned that this is what's being pushed out. So
is it not good? Like, is it bad info?
There are some, like, very few of them, but there are some really good TikTok SEO people on there. But majority of the time, it's just like spam tactics and stuff from like 2010. So, and to be honest, your whole story and the way that you've kind of come into the industry and how you've built like your wealth and like your business and everything, I think that would really resonate to the audience on TikTok. So have a look at it, man. It would be good.
I'll have to become I'll have to try and take over TikTok, SEO TikTok, or whatever, is that like, whatever they call it, SEO Twitter to SEO TikTok. Twitter's reach is so bad right now that I need to find a new platform that has some reach. So maybe I've been trying LinkedIn, but I've only just started. Maybe TikTok's the place to go. Yeah,
LinkedIn's quite good still at the moment, I think, because the impressions you get on there, like even if people don't I'll look on my videos and I'll see just the amount of views compared to Twitter. I'm like, wow, this is insane. Or like even some other platforms, I used to post a lot on Instagram, and even compared to Instagram, on my limited posts on LinkedIn, I get better conversions in terms I get clients actually DM me constantly. I've picked up a lot of work off the back of just posting on LinkedIn, and then just in general my impressions are just higher. So I think LinkedIn is quite a powerful platform right now.
Interesting. Yeah, I need to. Thing is, I don't really have anything to sell, so I'm not like I see all these people trying to do it, but like, so I don't really like. I need to figure out my voice on it, because I think I'm writing and it's just not hitting because I'm telling people stuff that I like have learned, but like it's not in the right format because it's not written in a way to like create conversation with people, because I need to have something to sell so that I can just like create strategy around that, basically. In fact, let's go into that now.
Okay, cool.
So let's say hypothetically I'm Jamie and I have like SaaS companies that I want to promote on socials. It's a multi-channel, or maybe single if that's the best place to go and double down and spend all your time. And I'm looking to find distribution, because distribution often trumps product, and I think most people forget that. If I'm trying to connect with people and I want to do that maybe through SEO, maybe not, because SEO is kind of a difficult one to start on now if you're not a big brand already. How would you orient a SaaS campaign to get not just awareness, but engagement and customers from PR, combined socials and things like that? Let's say it's B2B SaaS that might have a natural place on LinkedIn, probably, but how would you, like, what's your decision tree for creating that campaign?
Yeah, so I start with the ICPs and just looking at who we're actually going to sell to. And then the good thing with LinkedIn is you can literally just take that job title of that ICP and just stick it straight into LinkedIn, and then you've got the people who are your target market. And that's why I find it really good for B2B, because they're literally there. The only thing is, because it's been like abused, it's just everyone's used to spam on there. So I think you have to take a bit of a flip approach on this. So how I've been seeing it is connecting with these people on LinkedIn, producing content around their pain points, around things they're interested in, producing entertainment content as well. So things that, one thing that's worked really well for me is I've picked up clients off the back of posting like a video of my day in the life at a marketing conference, for example, at Brighton SEO. So it's weird how this type of content seems to resonate on there, but I think it's because it stands out compared to everyone trying to sell. So I think it's about making your content a little bit different. But yeah, doing all that, doing your kind of like a similar content strategy that you would be doing, pain point content, entertainment content where you can, posting yourself, because selfie posts is what they call them, but selfie posts aren't as powerful as they used to be on LinkedIn, but they still work, because for some reason, I don't know why the algorithm favors it, or maybe just users just like it on that platform. Seeing your face on that really seems to resonate with users on LinkedIn. So definitely try that. And then what I would do is connect with these people. They're seeing your content, work out the different IRL events they go to, because it's literally, LinkedIn is just a networking event online, right? The people who are there are going to be going to these events anyway. So try and hang out in those events, meet them in person, then go back into the DMs after that point, which is a lot more difficult when you just want to have an online strategy. But if you really want to stand out and win those kind of high-paying clients, that's what I found has been the most effective campaign and tactic at the moment.
Nice. And so, what would you say that maybe it's not a thing, it's more of the industry rather than a type of business, but like, let's say a lot of customers buying a lot of PR and links right now that I hear from people that run agencies, all e-com, because e-com's got more visibility in the affiliate keywords and stuff like that now. But then you also got SaaS that's, kept in their SEO wise, they're still doing a lot of the link building side of PR. How would you design campaigns differently based on if they were SaaS or e-com? Are there any other type of business? Are there any specific nuances that people should know for different types of businesses?
It's a difficult one. I don't want to hit you with the SEO answer of it depends, but yeah, it does a little bit, to be fair, because it's dependent. Again, I always start audience first, and I always look at like what the consumer's actually going to care about. And then when it comes to PR, I then look at what is this journalist really going to care about? Is this going to get them the views they need? Is this going to get them the traction they need so that they know that this is going to be a campaign that's either going to go viral or it's going to be interesting enough to their readers? So it really depends on so say if we're in the SaaS space, I think data-driven campaigns work really well, because you can just do you can do surveys, you can do them kind of campaigns that just, you get an opinion of certain people, across the country, or map style campaigns, something that you can turn into an infographic. I think those work really powerful because the journalist has a reason to link back to you. I think that's the most important thing, is to give a reason for them to link back to you, because if you haven't done that, then they're not gonna put that together. It's really difficult though when you go across so many different niches though to pick one standardized version. I think you have to be very specific dependent on your niche.
When you're putting together a data-driven campaign, what are the steps that people should know? Because to me, I'm not an expert in PR, but they seem like the easiest ones to put together if you're willing to sacrifice time rather than like paying someone to be more creative and come up with like really clever angles that just hit the zeitgeist. What are the steps for someone who doesn't have a lot of money but wants to put together their own homemade data-driven campaign that they should go through to have the best success?
Start with data you already have. If you work in a business which you're already at a point where you have a lot of like data you have access to that you are able to share. Of course, take GDPR into consideration when you're doing this. But just try and pick something that you've got information already on. Like if you're in like the finance niche and you have a product that helps people to save money, maybe there's some top level numbers that you can use to turn into a data project that you can then put a funny hook on it. Or if it's more of a reactive campaign, looking at what's going on in the industry right now, like looking at what's happening in the news, going off the back of that and just twisting that data into something that's relevant to it. Now, you've got to be very careful about the twisting because journalists do catch on very quick and they're very much like, this isn't relevant to this. But if you can really take a campaign and go, this is the data we have on this, it's very relevant to this news story that's being shared right now. Is this relevant to you? And reaching that out to journalists, that's a powerful way, and it's a lot more effective than going out and, I don't know, gathering surveys or trying to do some studies or, building out these kind of more expensive, getting Ofcom data and things like that. So this would be, I would say, the more cheaper version of it if you've got that data in-house. And plus, because you've got that data in-house, it makes it exclusive because no one else has access to that. No one else is going to be able to share a story that's similar to that. So it's very, very rare that you're competing with anyone when you're reaching out to that journalist for that specific type of story.
But what if you're a smaller, newer e-com business that doesn't have a lot of proprietary data? Maybe they do a lot of drop shipping rather than like selling their own like product they've got IP on that they have all of this data on. How would they go about manufacturing something that has the ability to still get links and still get journalist attention?
I'd maybe move away from the data angle then if you're that, because I'm just trying to think, because from my experience, this is like, again, I'm speaking on my experience from working with different brands where we partner with digital PR agencies, and most of the time the brands I've worked with have been on the larger side, so often we've got access to in-house data. Alternatively, I think if you're a smaller organization, maybe is that creative storytelling that you can do. Maybe you can think of a creative hook, or again, reactive is really powerful. If something's happening and you are the relevant person to comment on that, like someone in your organization can comment on that. Maybe if you're just a founder and you've got 5 devs who run your SaaS company, but that SaaS is in an industry that's something to do with what's happening in the news right now, you can just go, okay, I can give a comment on this. I don't know how powerful that would be for a smaller organization, but I think that would probably be the best way. There's a lot of different creative sides you can go through, but in my opinion, I just like having data on the website so it gives reasons to link back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, fair. I mean, like, I see a lot of people that sell PR, but then they actually deliver like Harrow and stuff. And to me, that's like, I know you say like reactive, like people wanting quotes and stuff, but I see that a lot, like people getting just like, or like featured or quoted links, and they've got like, yeah, all these PR links. And to me, that doesn't like. I think that's a confusing of the definition of what like PR. So to me, when I hear PR or digital PR, I think like proactive creation of like assets that have like new data or putting old data together in a new novel way, so you have something uncompetitive that you can then pitch to a journalist. And I think that a lot of people get a bad reputation of PR because what they're sold is sometimes it's not even Harrow. Like I've had people try and sell me PR links as like guest posts that are like, or a link insert with like 30 other quotes on the same thing that is like clearly like a link insert, not PR. And so it's a tough one when someone's been burnt by that before and then now they have a bad like image of what digital PR actually is.
This is the thing. I'm starting to see the lines blur a little bit now between like traditional PR and digital PR, because really you should be just doing PR, but with the aim of getting links to certain pages on your website or moving that authority over. But what's happened, like you said, because there's no actual regulation or there's no industry standard really, people are just selling guest posts or they're just selling a Harrow link, which I don't even think you can use Harrow anymore. I feel like it's a paid service now, right? Like
but it's better now.
Okay,
it's got rid of all the AI spam, so you actually have more chance of being seen now. But it is, you have to pay like $1 a thing now. But that's so cheap for like, if that takes your winning percent up from like 5 to 12%, and that's like profitable to pay.
Massively worth it, yeah. And also when I say just on the point where you were saying about reactive, when I say reactive, Harrow's one way, but the main way where I think of reactive is some of the digital PR agencies that we've worked with at different brands and some of my clients partner with at the moment, where I've sat down with them, and when we do a reactive campaign, I'll say, okay, we need to get links to this. This is happening in the news literally today, and they'll go out and they'll fashion a story that's specific for that, and then send that out like to journalists that they've got pre-made lists for within the industry. So that's what I mean when I say reactive, because of course reactive in terms of like Harrow, yeah, it's powerful, but if you can like story jack or hijack. But again, like I said, there's no regulations in the industry, so it's very hard to get like a definition of what each different type is. There's a different meaning to everyone, I think.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. Yeah, I honestly, in my mind, I had it tattooed on my brain that it was just like the reactive style was like the getting quotes when it comes to you through a platform, or if you have like personal relations with the journalist and they get outreach, like, do you have a comment on this if you've got that sorted? But yeah, that's fair. Like the sort of day to day fight, like getting and like trend jacking, I guess, also comes under that. But to be fair, that feels more legit than like if someone sold me that, and then because to me, like the definition of my mind is like the creativity and novelty of creating something, fashioning something new. And so like if they've gone to actually create something novel and new and that's I wouldn't be mad about that. I'd be mad if someone tried to sell me a Harrow link and said it was PR, but I wouldn't be mad about like a trend jacking real thing that was associated with the business. It feels different. It feels more three-dimensional.
The thing is with trend jacking, what I've noticed is it's very hard to sell because it's very hard to guarantee any results because there's nothing that's going viral being talked about in the press. You might not be able to relate to that for like 2-3 months, you know. So it can be. I think a lot of agencies add it in as like a we will. Well, some of what the good agencies do, what I found is say that we will do this and we will actively look for you constantly, but we can't guarantee that every month we can give you this. But when it does happen, they're straight on it because they've got pre-made lists of people to reach out to and things.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. That's the nature of the beast, and like you buy links, you know what you're getting, but when you have to like earn them from PR, like it's like kind of. It can oscillate between like amazing and bad if it doesn't go right, if your eggs are in one basket especially.
Yeah, it's true. I've seen some people have started guaranteeing links now, and I don't know how they're guaranteeing that. I think they just keep outreaching until that link comes through. But I mean, I rate it because that's something like if you can afford to be able to do that, that's really powerful because people are going to buy from you if they're guaranteed that link. But if you can't, then it's like, oh, okay, like you need to have that level of trust with your client, you know?
Yeah. You spoke about like selfie LinkedIn posts and that now. I'm just going to circle back to LinkedIn for a second. What's the difference that you're seeing between successful brands and people on LinkedIn versus what people are not cutting through the noise on now? What do people need to be doing that most people are getting wrong?
So the thing that people a lot of times are getting wrong is they're just trying to post, I think, educational content, which, I mean, it worked and it is powerful. Like I know Alex Hormozi has done this massive thing about how educational content is, you know, the thing right now. And I get why, and I think that needs to be part of your content strategy. But the thing is, because everyone's doing it, what can you really do to stand out? It's like on TikTok, one thing that we do when we're marketing for brands is trying to look for something people can't replicate. Because on TikTok, because the amount of time it takes for you to scroll through the feed, so many people are going to see that like 10 videos a second, every like 5 seconds or whatever, as they quickly swipe through. If you have something that no one else can recreate, then that is what they're going to stop on. It's the same way I look at it if you go to a different platform. If you can post about something that no one else can really copy, like I know you did a post the other day about your framework, right? That's your own framework. That's very unique and no one else can really copy that. But you could take it a step further of talking about exactly the impact that framework's had on people, that, you know, like a case study or a video format where someone's talking about they've used this framework and it's actually worked and this is how much it's generated, because no one can really replicate that. And I think that's what's really important. And then outside of that, the unreplicatable content is looking at things like storytelling content, so people actually resonate with you and they want to share with you. So one thing I've noticed is what you'll see is you'll probably see the cringe post on LinkedIn when people go viral when they post like they're crying or something like that, or you know, like those kind of posts. But the thing is, although those are super cringe, and I'm not saying please do not do that, but like, yeah, just don't do that. But what you should be doing is taking the essence of that, because that's just a post that's driving emotion. And on a platform like LinkedIn, think of LinkedIn as Facebook when it was early days. You know, like very early, the stuff you were posting is very different because it's a place that people aren't used to posting on. So you get an insight into people's lives you wouldn't usually get. And it's because it's your colleagues you're connected with. It's people who are in the professional setting. So it's disruptive to post something that causes an emotion rather than just doing what everyone else is doing, which is just educating people.
Interesting. So you mix. That's interesting. I hadn't thought of like if you post a framework or something like that, then the follow up is not the case study, but something that's not necessarily educational because it's you've already explained how it works. But like I guess social proof and cuts through the noise if it's you being happy that someone else has got success or something, whilst also inferring that everyone else should use it because now there's a social proof that someone's got success with it to have more of an impact. That's clever. I definitely was avoiding LinkedIn for longer than I should have because I was like in my mind I was thinking this is cringe, and I hate the fact that like a lot of people like I got a DM the other when like shortly after opening the account like like, when you connect with someone connects with you like I'd love to share my content with you, and it was like I don't love anything like I don't like there's a lot of things that I love more than sharing content with. It's one of the lower bits on the tier list of loving, right? And so and that's clearly bullshit. That's still authentic. No one loves the idea of sharing a LinkedIn post, and so I just like I'm not even gonna respond. Like I worry that like no one says what like no one talks like a real person. That's what put me off. But it's actually not been too bad so far. But I do see some comments like thanking people for like posting something that I'm like, oh, that sounds like the grimmest thing ever.
Because the old on LinkedIn started. Luckily, I don't really post too often on LinkedIn. The reason why I love it is because when the few times that I do post, I seem to get clients reach out to me, and I win a lot of business very quickly off the platform.
And post more.
Yeah, well, that's what I need to do. I'm in the process of building a content strategy out for it. Thing is, when it comes to your own content strategy, it's always like, I'll just post whatever I can kind of thing. But I am going to put a strategy behind it soon. I've started doing it a little bit, but definitely going to do more of that. But yeah, I think what happened was in the early days of LinkedIn, there was a big thing around engagement pods. And there was a big thing around just this whole commenting for reach. So what people realize is it's this whole kind of like Gary Vee tactic where you go to the comments and you interact with people and you slowly build an audience, which works to a degree if you're doing it in a way that you're adding value to people's content. But if you're just posting, I know there's a lot of tools now, AI tools, where you can just click a button and it summarizes it and then just comment something random. And that's what's happening. And it's the same thing with this DM tactic, because what happened, same as there used to be this thing where gurus were selling courses talking about how whenever someone gets a new job, make sure you DM them saying congrats on the new job, because that means that you'll get a lot more they'll see your post more because now you've messaged each other, so LinkedIn will show your content to them. So there was all these kind of things, and what's happened is people have taken these, they've templatized them, and they've said, okay, every day make sure you comment on 5 people's posts, make sure you DM 5 people, and that is it's just ridiculous, when really the creators that I think are winning right now are creating unique content, unreplicatable content. They're only commenting if they're adding value. They're literally like, if they can add a piece of value to that post, they will. And then what they'll do is they'll follow up with their own post that's related to that comment and tag the creator in that original post. And that's how they're getting that cross kind of account growth. Then when you're DMing people, you're DMing them with an actual reason. It's not just like, hey, I'd love to share you my content or whatever. Or, hey, like I'd love to tell you backlinks that I get like all the time on LinkedIn. Instead, it's more like, hey, like I love this post that you did and this is why I love it. Can we maybe jump on a call next week because I want to talk to you about this? Like I'd love to just like contribute to this or whatever. Or another thing is like a lot of times people are putting together like articles now. So the same way as we would do like, we put an article together online and you'd reach out to other websites to get backlinks from, so you'd ask them to contribute, and then that's how you'd do that. You can do that still on LinkedIn, but think of it from a social sense. So create a LinkedIn article, message someone to see if they can contribute. They'll feel comfortable with contributing, and you actually, they're providing value with the information they're giving. They're putting it into your article, and then that article, they're clicking on it, they're commenting, they're sharing, and then that's creating more interactions. And it's a lot more authentic because you're both getting value out of it. And then another thing I want to add to that, and I'm waffling a little bit here, but basically one thing that I hate about LinkedIn is the fact that people think that you have to interact with their content as a form of exchange. Like if you go into the world of social, if you business, social in general, I just think if you're doing something with a transactional mindset of I've liked this person's content, they should like mine, they should comment on mine, I just think that's ridiculous. You're never going to grow a brand on this platform, you're never going to grow a brand on any platform if you always think transactionally. It doesn't make sense. Like just do things because you want to add value, because you actually enjoy that piece of content, you'll come across more authentic, and it would just be better for you. I'm just sick of it, to be honest.
I sent a tweet out, and the main comment I got back, I was talking about the difference in reach between LinkedIn and me trying to figure out the platform. And someone said, no, you don't realize, Jamie, it's all about comments for reach, not posts. And so I was confused about that. And it relates to what you've been saying about how you can engage with people, but do it in a way that you offer value and don't just chat GPT summarize it, because we can all tell.
Yeah.
What is the comment meta, and how do you grow on LinkedIn via comments?
So comments, again, pretty much what I said with the value driven side. I think really adding value to what someone's saying. I think I had a post where there was this girl that posted about how search and social was changing, and this was ages ago now, to be honest, but I put a comment on there of my kind of personal perspective of it, explained why I'm actually relevant to speak on this, and gave something that was genuinely valuable to that conversation. Well, I thought it was at the time, but a lot more people must have thought it was valuable, because I think it got like 500 likes or something on her. She was quite a known creator, so her post was already picking up. But I got a load of likes on the comment, and then I got a bunch of DMs off it, and then I got a brand reach out to me saying, "Oh, can you do a consultancy call with us on this?" So that's where the power of the comments come in. But you have to actually give real valuable content that people find relatable, so they like your comment. So that's, if you want to look at it from a signal perspective, you have to make it relatable enough that people like your comment. And not only do they like it, but they react to it with a different type of emoji. So you get enough of those reactions, you garner enough of an emotional reaction that they respond to it. So that whole responding of comments will also help you push you up in the different comments that are in there. And then what will happen is then more people will see it, and then it will gain traction off the back of it. And I think that's really powerful. And what also works with that is, because your comment has been liked and commented on and pushed to the top, the creator, say if you commented on a big creator's post, or maybe even some celebrities who've moved over to LinkedIn now, or influencers as such, they will now see that comment. And then what they might do is they might respond to it. And then what happens is then their following see that post come back on their feed, and then they go back and they read the comments. And then, yeah, it's almost like a cycle that you're going in. And if you just repeat that, and it's the same thing I say with TikTok. A lot of people say, like, post 3 videos, 5 videos a day on TikTok. Same with comments, posting 5 comments on LinkedIn. Like, I would say, instead of doing that, focus on doing one a day that's a real strong piece of content, one really strong comment that you've given value in, or one really strong video, like for example if it was TikTok, that is edited right, is put a lot of you put thought into your script, you put thought into your hook, and then post that out. And then if you really have the inspiration, you've got the the kind of the creativity to go and do another one, that's fine, but aim for one a day and start off smaller. Because what happens a lot of times when you speak to gurus is they'll go around to you and they'll say, oh, you need 5 posts a day on TikTok, or that's how the algorithm works. No, like, regardless of the algorithm, the audience is there, and these platforms are all audience first, and they're all interest first. So you need to make content that people can actually, they actually want to click on. They actually, you spent time working on that.
Nice. Just before we leave LinkedIn for like just one last little bit, a lot of the DMs I've received since opening my account 5 days ago have ended with that. Oh, we should jump 5 days in. I'm on like 130 followers. I'm getting started again. I'm rebuilding from scratch, starting again. But a lot of I've only had a few, to be fair, only like 5 or 6. But like all of them are like, oh, so let's jump on a call. It's like because they want to sell links, or they run some kind of agency. And they think that I'm someone who needs an agency, which is an interesting thought. It's like I'm just gonna delegate my job to you, but what is this obsession on LinkedIn with getting on calls? Does everyone love getting on calls except me? Because for me, there's if anyone tries to tell me to get on a call, I'm like, send me it in text, and if it's difficult, then we'll jump on the call. If not, we can deal with this over text. Why is everyone obsessed with getting on calls, and why is that what you're supposed to do as a consultant, or as a freelancer or something? Because I can't think of many things I'd rather not do than get on a call.
I think that's because you're an entrepreneur. I think that's why. Because if you think about it like this, right? Because you run on your own schedule, you're a businessman. A lot more people on LinkedIn work for someone. They work at a company. So if you schedule in a call, often what happens, they'll put it on company time, and they'll just take that call. So I don't know if that's the actual reason, but that's how I see it anyway. And a lot of times when I speak to someone who's in house at a larger brand, if I'm jumping on like a consultancy call with them, they'll put it within 9 to 5 hours. Like they'll put it within that time that they're at work, because technically it's a work call, because I might be working with their brand in the future. So I think that's one way to look at it. I think the other way to look at it is, like I said before, LinkedIn is just an online networking event, and it's taking that when you go to a networking event and then you see that person at the after party afterwards, and then you connect on a deeper level. I think that's where the phone call comes in, because you actually spend an hour interacting with them. I didn't really know much about this until like probably 2 years ago, year and a half ago, where I jumped on the call with this guy called James. I'm trying to remember his last name, but he was from like an agency that just does like social media marketing. And I didn't really understand the whole call thing, because people had been DMing me a lot about that. And I jumped on and I gained a valuable connection to him because we got along so much. When I saw his content, I really understood it more, and I was like, I really get him as a person. So the thing with LinkedIn is I think a lot more people are focusing on small, specific audiences where they can convert from. So jumping on a call means that lead then becomes more of a qualified lead, because you've already spoken to them and they're more engaged with you as well. So that's something to take into consideration.
Fair. I guess on the other side of it, whenever like I feel like a product in a funnel, I'm gonna get sold something, and also like it's like such an inefficient use of time, like for what it could be like 3 sentences, and now I've got to book out an hour or half an hour of my time. Like I could be like, and like there's an inertia where you get on a call where like it takes a while to get back in to be able to do work, like deep work after, and so it's like if I've got like a couple of calls that run from 2 till 3 or 3 till 4, whatever, it's really difficult for me to get back in work mode at 4 o'clock. Like I need to batch them towards the end of the day, and so it's difficult, and like there's a productivity to think about as well. Just 2 more short questions before we finish. One's about me and one's about you. So firstly, we'll start with me. Just as for example, like we mentioned content, I want to grow on multiple platforms. I'm just learning them. I'm in the process of trying to get better at them, to widen reach and distribution, and hopefully grow the software that I'm trying to sell to people through that. And I've been thinking about with like how I'm trying to be involved in product and marketing. Do I really have time to do this as well on multiple platforms, or should I look into hiring a creative director? What should someone's mindset be when delegating something as important as your own true personal brand, and what makes it the right play or not the right play, and like how do you think about it like that in terms of business ROI, but also staying true to what is your authentic self in your personal brand?
So that's quite let me just take that apart quickly. So I think from when you're building a personal brand and when you're starting to post in general on a new platform, I mean, you've already done it where you've built yourself up on Twitter, so you kind of already understand that journey of building, right? But when you were probably building, you probably had a lot more time to focus on that. The issue is when you go into another platform, especially like a platform that's different to what you're used to, you might not be ready to create that content there. So it might be better to hire someone who can actually create that content for you, but you just tell the story within that content, because that might be more effective, because it saves you that learning curve and that time to actually learn that platform and learn the nuances of editing and posting. I'm talking about TikTok specifically, because like, for example, for me, I prefer video as a format because I don't like writing. I'm not very good at writing. I have dyslexia, so I'm not great at writing. So I've always been better with video as a format. Whereas you might be better because you've come from a background where you've grown so quickly on X or Twitter. You can now take that and take to a platform like LinkedIn. You already know what to do. Start with whatever makes you feel most comfortable, because there's a lot of creators. A lot of times when I speak to a creator, or like a few of my friends now, since I've been posting more, or since I've been telling them stories about my clients and some of the people that we know within the industry, they've all started to go, oh, I want to start posting. And I'm like, that's cool, but you need to pick a place where you can stay consistent with. So instead of going in where everyone's saying, oh, do video content, do TikTok, do YouTube Shorts, do this, like, that's great, do Reels, whatever, that's great, but you might not be ready to do that yet. And it's like the analogy I used earlier for the gym. A lot of people don't go straight to the weight section. You start running first, you start walking, and then eventually you work your way up. Same thing here. So LinkedIn is specific. So for you, I know that you're posting a lot more there. If you're starting with written content, start with written content, maybe include an image. Okay, maybe include an image and look at what's already working for creators, and then recreate that kind of style, and then work out how it can work with your own kind of personality. Really try and showcase as much of your personality as you can, because like I said, that's going to help you stand out compared to all the different bots that are on the platform that just copy what everyone else is doing. And then what you can do from there is, because LinkedIn again is a really good platform to share video as well, you can then start, okay, maybe once a fortnight I'll start doing one video, I'm going to commit to that, and then build yourself up. Or alternatively, like you said, if you want to hire a creative director, hire them, spend a few days batch recording that stuff, and they can schedule it out and they can do the strategy, and you can do it that way. So that's two different ways of looking at it, really.
Fair. You've gained a foothold in a variety of disciplines. The strictly SEO side, the socials, and merging that into the social search thing, as well as the wider brand building side of PR. What's your plan over the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years as those change and so it's more of SEO is not going to be the same as what it was? Where do you want to go with that?
Yeah, it's a tough one, really. I think right now, for me, I've always looked at it as so you'll probably see this argument that's happening in SEO a lot right now, where people are saying, "Oh, TikTok's going to get banned in the US. I'm so happy I didn't try and become a TikTok SEO or whatever." The thing what people miss is the fact that the skill set you pick up of making short form videos, say from a platform like TikTok, or the skill set you pick up from this other platform, you can take and transform into another platform. My whole thing has always been where consumer attention is. So it doesn't matter if people are searching on Google, it doesn't matter if they're searching on TikTok, whatever platform it has been. Like when I started my career, I was building and selling Instagram accounts. I was building Instagram accounts from 0 to like 100,000 followers and then selling them, because that's where I felt consumer attention was. I didn't really understand consumer attention back then because I was just a kid, really, like teenager. I was selling it for Bitcoin back then. I wish I knew how much Bitcoin was worth back then, because that would have been good now. But yeah, that was but now what I look at is, okay, consumers will always shift, and we go through these trends where people go from platform to platform. My thing is that I want to be able to understand enough that I can take it into like almost like a CMO role from a digital first perspective, where I can help brands understand, no matter what platform that they're going to, if it's on the organic side, because I don't really touch the paid side, that I can go, cool, I know how this works, or I can work out how this works. So I'm not really afraid at all of whether AI replaces Google or whether TikTok gets banned or whether any of these things happen. My plan is to make sure that I'm the best at organic marketing, no matter the platform. So that's where I see myself. So next kind of 5 years, I want to build out my personal brand. That's something I'm working on, especially now. Like I'm doing a lot more on LinkedIn. I'm definitely going to do a lot more on TikTok. That's my plan. I think because I've just been doing a lot of talks over the last couple of months, and I've been working non-stop in terms of like freelance, building up my consultancy and working at the same time. So it's been busy. The last couple of months, I feel like I've been non-stop. I've literally, like, every day has just been like 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. straight, then do like 2 hours of editing, then back to, like, it's just literally been that on repeat. So my plan is, now that a few of these talks are now ending, and I'm only going to do like, I think like 3 or 4 for the rest of the year, or maybe like 3 now for the rest of the year, which should be a good amount. I can now just focus on content creation, so I can build my personal brand and then eventually take that personal brand to maybe grow. Like, I don't really know where I want to go with it. I haven't got an ideal location, whether that is, I'm not really interested in building an agency, but if that happens, that happens. But, or maybe building a course, or maybe building something else that goes alongside that, or just becoming like one of these people who helps just consult with larger brands. We'll just have to see. But yeah, on that journey, you know.
Nice. You've had a good start already at a young age, doing the talks, doing Brighton, all the fun stuff there. So I think it's gonna, hopefully, fingers crossed, go well for you over the next few months. We appreciate you coming on the Click Wars podcast. I talk about everything PR, LinkedIn, socials, all of the fun stuff. And I think what you're talking about and what your mindset is the right one, given that I think a lot of people are worried about SEO right now as a strictly SEO channel, and it's mostly the people, just as I was, quite over leveraged in like just SEO on content sites that didn't have a lot of real brand or real product to fall back on. And so where that side of SEO is like taking a big hit, the real brand side of SEO still pays dividends, and there's still brands investing in that. And so if you are around that area, especially when you can mix it into the PR and general brand building and social side, I think that's going to have a lot more longevity, and I think that's a good way to position yourself going through that. And I think for a lot of for some people listening who might be traditional like content niche site people, this is a good style of thinking to adopt and try and experiment with on the socials and brand building PR side. Just as people like Sammy have pivoted from being strictly SEO content people into bigger brands like on Instagram, growing big audiences and stuff like that. And so yeah, I think it's going to go well for you. I'm quietly confident that you're going to keep going on to do more stuff, and I appreciate your time on here today. And yeah, cheers for coming on the Click Wars podcast.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you having me on. Honestly, it means a lot because I've followed you for a while now and you're really good at what you do. I always learn something new from speaking to you, so it's great to be here. Thank you, man.
That's kind of you. All right, cheers.